So, good evening, guys. Uh, I hope I'm audible. How are you guys doing? So, yes, again, today also, I'll take the case studies. Uh, the case studies are again from McKinsey. Yeah, I have shared my screen with you all. Yes, so I'll start. So, the first case study is titled as Shops Corporation. Coming to the client goal, our client is Shops Corporation. Shops Corporation approached McKinsey for help to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion within their company. Okay, so Shops Corporation wants to improve improve how their hiring works. They want to be more inclusive, so they are looking for people. They want to improve their hiring system such that it is more diverse and equal for all. Now, coming to the description of situation, Shops Corporation is a US-based retail company that is committed to ensuring that its own employees, especially those at their corporate headquarters, represent its customers. Okay. The majority of Shops Corporation's customers are women, while only about a quarter of their executive team is women. The CEO has shared the following with your team. Companies in the top quartile for gender diversity on executive teams are more likely to outperform on profitability. Companies in the top quartile for ethnic/cultural diversity on executive teams are more likely to have industry leading profitability. Okay, so it is given to us that the employees of Shops Corporation represent their company in front of the customers. But the major issue here is that the majority of customers of Shops Corporation are women, whereas only 25% of the employees are women. Also, the CEO has shared the following fact with us that companies who are the top quartile for gender diversity and ethnic and cultural diversity are often more profitable than other companies in the same domain. For these and other reasons, Shops Corporation would like to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout their organization. In particular, they are dedicated to enhancing the representation of women and other minority employees within senior leadership. So, to justify the above claims, they want to increase the number of women at their senior leadership. Like overall, they want to increase the number of women working in their company. Now, coming to the McKinsey study, Shops Corporation has recently created full time, director level roles to lead a number of inclusive affinity groups and has engaged McKinsey to help Shops Corporation with their diversity and inclusion goals. Okay, so the study is that Shops Corporation has recently opened up a huge variety of top leadership roles, and they have asked McKinsey to help them with their goals of including more women and other minority groups. So, coming to the first question, what types of factors would you want to explore to understand how Shops Corporation might improve its diversity within senior leadership? What types of factors would you want to explore to understand how Shops Corporation might improve its diversity within senior leadership? Okay, so basically, we are asked to find out the areas that we would have to pay attention such that they can increase their diversity goals. They could reach their diversity goals. Okay, so immediately uh, many things come to our mind, but all of them might not be very relevant to us. Some of the things that could be relevant to our scenario is that whether the women are already skilled or they need to be more trained and given the expertise on how to handle the senior leadership positions. Also, we have to make a decision that we should promote internally or should we hire new executive women who have a much better experience. Not exactly like in a domain, but a overall experience of a senior leadership position. Uh, yes, I don't think so. I could think of any other factors. So I'll just reveal the answer. Hiring. Where does Shops Corporation hire from and how diverse are these candidates? How is personnel selected? Are there processes in place to foster a fair view on diverse profiles? Example, unconscious bias trainings. So, yeah, they have included hiring as an answer. Okay. Retention. Is there equity in compensation? What policies, example parental leave or programs, example ramp on slash ramp off, to ensure Shops Corporation keeps slash retains the best and most diverse talent? Yes, so there should be equity in compensation. It should not be like the women are paid less compared to the other diverse groups. Also, there should be facilities of maternity leave uh, and the various leaves that especially apply to these diverse groups. Promotion. What measures are in place to ensure equity in performance reviews? What kind of initiatives are in place to foster greater sponsorship of diverse employees? Yes, like promotion, also, we have to make sure that it is fair. Planning. What are the target levels for diversity groups? Which area of an employee journey is the biggest roadblock? Example, if retention is very low, then hiring entry level employees is less likely to have an impact on senior leadership diversity. Goal setting. How good is Shops Corporation in communicating their diversity goals and uniting the employees behind a common goal? How do diversity goals align with other company priorities? Example, if the company also undergoes great change in other areas, employees' capacity to address this challenge might be limited. Okay, so they have also included that this goal should be communicated to the employees also. It should be transparent, but it should also align with the company's other priorities. Yes, so that was it. Now, coming to the second question. One of the things that the joint team of Shops Corporation and McKinsey has been working on is what they are calling a talent pipeline. The pipeline displays the career progression for women and their representation across the following four levels. From most junior to most senior, they are professional. This includes entry level hires and support staff. Example, executive assistants. Okay. Manager. Slightly more senior professionals. Example, hires after business school and select support managers. Director. Vast majority are aligned to revenue generating functions at this level. Individuals typically manage teams. Executive. Business unit leaders, executive team, etc. Managing tens to hundreds of people. The pipeline shows the proportion for hiring. attrition, proportion of people in that group that left jobs corporation, and promotion. Okay, so at the professional level, which is the entry level, 60% of the clients are women. The attrition of women is 16%, whereas of men it is 17%. And the promotions that went to women were 50%. And the number of new hires that were women were also 55%. Similarly, all these values are given us for all the four positions. Okay, so the question is that they have a thing called talent pipeline. There are four levels associated with it: professional, manager, director, and executive. And then they have given us a lot of data to deal with. So, yeah, let's look at the question and then we could focus more on the data. What can be the possible explanations for the challenges that shop corporation faces in achieving and maintaining higher rates of women executives according to this data? Okay, so yes, uh, there is a decreasing trend in the number of employees that were women at each stage. It decreases from 60% in professional to 25% in executive. And they're asking us that why is that so? What could be the various possible explanations that this number is decreasing and decreasing? Because the attrition, that is the number of people leaving, is decreasing also. For executive, it is very high. So for executive, it is 12%, and for director, it is 8%. So maybe uh, effect could be that the pay or the compensation is not very equal for all the people. Uh, but no, I would like to withdraw my statement because for men also the attrition percentage is given and it is slightly greater than that of women. So both men and women are leaving our company at a later stage. Now, coming to the promotions, we could see that it is also decreasing. So maybe we are not exactly uh, equal in judging women when promoting women from men. More and more, as the position grows in seniority, the number of promotions given to men are increasing. So yes, we need to include a non-bias judging system. Also, the number of hires that were women is not major at all for the three positions. So yeah, some level of improvement could be done here also in terms of judging and taking new tests as well as compensation. So I think this is all the trend. Now I'll just see the answer. Women are not prematurely leaving the workforce compared to men. Even at the most senior levels, women are motivated to stay, even slightly more than men. Perhaps there is sufficient connectivity at each level to stay, but not between levels to create opportunities for women. Like I said, that the attrition percentage of men is slightly greater than as compared to women. So yeah, both men and women are leaving our company. It is not that only women are leaving the company. Hiring at junior levels is not really the problem. However, senior level hires are predominantly men. Entry level and middle management hires are roughly even between women and men. Yet, it might be more difficult to hire senior women, perhaps because other organizations are facing similar challenges and the pool of senior women is small. Okay, The biggest driver of low levels of executive representation is lower promotion rate for women. Women are stuck in middle management, potentially because fewer women in senior levels to pull up or sponsor other women, or there might be fewer women role models to enable junior women to see themselves in those roles. Yes, like I mentioned, that our issue was that women are not getting the promotions. They are stuck at that same level. So the reason, a possible reason could be that there is no role model. Uh, there is not a very good example that they could look up to, because only if they look up to some person they could also feel comfortable that yes, if she can do that, I can also do that, and which motivates them to work harder and harder. Now coming to the third and the last question. Shops Corporation is considering hiring women as managers from external sources to increase its proportion of women executives. They have a goal of reaching 40% women executives in the next 10 years. To understand the impact, the team has gathered the following information. Okay, I'll just take a pen. They have a goal of reaching 40% women executives in the next 10 years. The current number of executives is 300. Also, the current executives is 25%. And the goal is to reach it to 40%. So we could calculate the number of increase in women. Okay, if 25% is 300, then the 100% of the workforce is 1200 people. Considering that the number of positions remain same throughout, 40% of this is 480 women executives. Oh no. So they have given the total number of executives today is 300, not the women executives. So yeah, my calculation is wrong. 100% is 20, 300 people. The current women is 25%, which is 75, and they want to increase it to 40%, which is 120 women. Yes. Over the next 5 years, the team projects that two-thirds of these hired managers will become directors. Over the subsequent 5 years, one-third of those directors will become executives. Okay, so they have told us that in the next 5 years, two-thirds of the hired managers, which is 52% is the current. So two-thirds of this is uh, also one-third of this is because the next 5 years, only these directors will be promoted to executives. So that makes it 104 divided by 9%. Everything else stays the same. Over the next 10 years, assume a total of 50% of these hired managers will leave. Okay. Everything else stays the same. That is, existing women employees move throughout the pipeline at the same rates as they do today. As a reminder, 25% of executives are women today. How many additional female managers would need to be hired next year to reach Jobs Corporation's goal of 40% executives in the following 10 years? Okay. So, so the question is pretty simple. We have 75 women executives as of today. After the next 10 years, we need 120 women executives. Now we need to tell that how many managers do we need to hire today in this year such that the goal is reached. Okay. So let's say that X managers, we need to hire X managers. Now, out of these X managers, only two-thirds will be promoted to directors, and of these, only one-third will be promoted to the executive. And also, 50% of this will leave. So, this is the on mathematically, it is X by 9 managers, which is the difference. So, X by 9 is equal to 45. So X is 45 into 9 people. That is 405. We need to hire 405 more women next year so that the goal will be reached. Let's take the answer. Yes, I'm correct. The answer is 405 indeed. So yeah, this was the case study Shops Corporation. This was the case study focusing more on diversity and inclusion. So it included what areas uh, we need to consider. Also, according to the data, we had to tell that why at the higher levels of positions, women were not uh, in the majority. And lastly, we had a small numerical considering various scenarios. Now, coming to the next case study, which is titled as Conservation Forever. Conservation. I'll just take a water break. Yes. So, conservation forever. Client goal. Our client is Conservation Forever, CF, a conservation focused non governmental organization, NGO. Conservation Forever has asked McKinsey to help prioritize restoration and conservation efforts. Okay, so the goal is very brief. CF or Client Forever wants to help them prioritize restoration and conservation efforts. Okay. Now coming to this very long situation description. The degradation of nature is a major cause of the twin global climate and biodiversity crisis. That is why McKinsey commits pro bono resources to nature conservation wildlife worldwide. Our client CF was formed in 2011 at the start of the United Nations Decade on Biodiversity. CF aims to permanently conserve large areas of land and ocean over the next decade. Land use planning in these natural areas will be conducted in such a way that it considers biodiversity outcomes as a priority. This will require restoring natural habitats and ecosystems. Biodiversity, or the variety of life on Earth at the genetic, species, or ecosystem level, has enormous intrinsic value, but it is also essential to human well being and our economies. It provides essential ecosystem services such as clean air, food security, and fresh water. Investments in biodiversity can therefore contribute directly to reducing poverty and safeguarding sustainable development. However, biodiversity is in severe decline, putting its intrinsic value and its ecosystem services to indigenous peoples, local communities, and economies worldwide at risk. Large conservation projects at the scale required to reverse this loss entail significant upfront financing, complex legal framework, and extensive coordination between all parties involved, such as civil society, government, NGOs, and donors. Due to the complexity and magnitude of these projects, conservation efforts must be carefully selected early on. CF has shortlisted three candidate geographies: the coastal areas of Peru, the grasslands of Ukraine, and the mountain forests of Uganda. Whoa. So the situation is very focused on climate change and overall biodiversity crisis. So they have decided they aim to permanently conserve large areas of land and ocean over the next decade. So they will consider while land use planning, they will consider biodiversity to the topmost priority, and a number of factors come into play when we talk about biodiversity. But however, biodiversity is severely declining, although, as stated above, its need is very important for our survival. So, large conservation projects need to be launched such that we could reverse the ill effect that we have had on our biodiversity. So, for the land use planning, they have shortlisted three candidate geographies: the coastal areas of Peru, the steppe garlands of Ukraine, and the mountain forests of Uganda. Okay, so now coming to the McKinsey study. As part of a pro bono study, McKinsey has offered to help CF prioritize these geographies and the activities it should focus on. What factors could the team consider when choosing one of the three specific geographies on which to focus the conservation efforts? Okay, so we are asked that what factors should we keep in our mind when we are asked to select one out of the three geographies. So the primary factor is that which geography would help our goal reach the maximum potential. In other words, what geography would be able to contribute most to our goal? Such like maybe it could help recover the losses. It is severely declining, and if we fix that area alone, we could help achieve like more than majority of our goal. So yeah, that definitely needs to be kept in mind. Second is, I think the second could be how the local uh, people would react. Which communities are more opening and receptive towards us? Because often there are several tribes that have never made human contact, and interfering with the daily life of these tribes could be very dangerous for CF. So yeah, I think I'll keep that also in mind. Also, what are the logistics of how we could do that? Because it is not, maybe some region is highly inaccessible, not even inaccessible. If we have decided that for the land use planning, some huge equipments need to be brought along. So the logistics of those should also be kept in the mind. Now, coming to the answer, local economic development. What are the benefits to residents? What areas have potential for self-sufficient community development and job creation, such as ecotourism or small-scale sustainable fisheries? Biodiversity gains. Are there endangered species or ecosystems in the region? Would protecting specific areas allow merging with other already protected areas, such as reducing fragmentation to create a large-scale habitat for wildlife? Climate impact. Which ecosystems could sequester and avoid releasing the most carbon? Costs. What are the opportunity costs of alternative developments in the area? What are the initial one-time costs and ongoing operational costs for setting up and maintaining the protected area, such as land acquisition and infrastructure development? Other risks. What risks are associated with working in that area? How might these reduce the feasibility of a project and the likelihood of it being successful? Potential sources of risk could be political, like being in a war-torn area, high levels of corruption, government instability, or low political support for conservation. Financial risks, such as low availability of public and private funding sources for conservation, or operational issues, meaning no local CF partners on the ground for implementation or limited community support for existing conservation efforts. Okay, so I'll start from the top. First point is also very necessary, that what impact would have it on the local people there. Second point, I think I covered it. Third impact, also, it was kind of somewhere in my answer. I didn't mention it very clearly, but yeah. Cost also, logistics, I talked about logistics. And fourth point also, yes, I talked about the tribes, but a better example would be, being in a war-torn area, being in areas with high levels of corruption, government instability, or low political support for conservation would just decline the chances of the project being successful. So yeah, this was the answer. Now coming to the second question. The CFN, okay, like one point that just came into my mind was, when we have to conserve our biodiversity, but at the same time generate revenue, then ecotourism is a very good answer for all of these cases. Here also they have chosen to include ecotourism or small scale sustainable fisheries. So yes, ecotourism is one of the uh, growing tourisms uh, presently in the world. Yeah. So coming to the second question, the CF and McKinsey team decided to focus their initial efforts on protecting the coastal areas of Peru. Okay. Coastal vegetation provides critical habitats for multiple species, protects shorelines, and sequesters carbon at significant levels. The coastline is also beautiful and relatively unspoiled, making ecotourism an interesting opportunity. Ecotourism is different from other kinds of tourism in that it is designed to attract visitors who want to experience a natural environment with the assurance that their visit will not damage ecosystems or biodiversity. There are currently 5 communities that have suitable tourism infrastructure, and each one welcomes 100,000 visitors each year. By protecting that area and setting up ecotourism infrastructure to welcome visitors, the team came up with the following estimates. Okay. Annual visitor numbers to the main coastal villages will increase 20% over the next 5 years. Average length of stay in the local communities will double from 2 to 4 days. The average amount visitors will spend in the communities is not expected to change and will remain stable at $100 per person per day. Okay. How much additional revenue will come from the ecotourism in these five communities 5 years from now? Okay. So the question is very clear. Currently, five communities are there and they welcome 100,000 visitors each year. So over the next 5 years, it is given that 20% of this will increase. So the number of visitors will be 120,000. Also, the length of stay will double from 2 to 4 days. Uh, we note that we are asked the additional revenue. So we'll not multiply 120,000 with 4. Instead, we'll multiply 20,000 by 2, which is the change. Also, uh, okay, so yeah, I'll just take a different approach. Yes. So the first is 100,000 into 2 days into $100 per person per day. So that makes the figure 2 into 10 to the power 7. Now coming to the second figure, which is 120,000 into 4 into 100 again, which is 4.8 to the power into 10 to the power 7. So if I had to subtract, it would be around 2.8 into 10 to the power 7 dollars. Uh, $1 million is 10 to the power 6, which is basically $28 million would be generated in extra revenue. From earlier revenue of $20 million, it will get to $48 million. So, yeah, $28 million is expected to increase. Let's see the answer. Okay, so I didn't multiply by 5. I thought it was for all five communities, but yes, 28 by 5 is also 140. So, yeah, we were near to the answer. I'll just check again. Yeah, each one welcome. So, yeah, it was a totally a mistake on my hand. So, yeah, often the question seems very simple, but a very small detail like this could help you get rejected from your interview. So we need to pay very small detail. While reading the figures, we need to keep in mind of uh, what exactly what is the unit. Because here it was each community and I didn't multiply it by 5. So yeah, that was a very major blunder. Now coming to the third question. The director of CF likes these initial projections, but is not convinced that the assumptions are realistic. They tell the team, according to your model, there are three levers we need to focus to generate revenue from ecotourism to impel number of visitors, length of stay, and spending amount. What are your best ideas for how to maximize each lever? And how about some ideas outside of the constraints of this model? Your team is meeting in 10 minutes to generate ideas in preparation for a workshop with leaders from several coastal communities, and you are jotting down some notes. What ideas do you have to generate revenue linked to ecotourism? Okay. So basically, a task is that we need to come up with ideas that we could present in front of leaders from several coastal communities that could help maximize our ecotourism. In ecotourism, also there are four factors: the number of visitors, the length of stay, and the spending amount. And the fourth is that outside of the box, uh, what more could be done such that overall the model increases. So, to increase the number of visitors, I think a discount by the government on the flight tickets could seem attractive to the people. Also, local translators, uh, just free translators, help desks, embassies, not exactly embassies, but help desks of various countries could help people trust the place and visit the place fearless. The length of the stay could be increased by adding more number of activities. Maybe a cruise could be added in the coast area. That could help increase the number of stay. Basically, more number of activities that would seem lucrative. And the spending amount. Uh, for the spending amount, I honestly increasing the prices is not at all a option. But introducing more items that could be gifted. Like people come to visit a place, they often like to take something for their close friends and relatives, or sometimes just for the memory of it. They like to buy a small memento of the place. Businesses producing these mementos could be given help such that more and more variety is produced, which could in turn increase the spending amount. So I think that is the idea. Now let's see what McKinsey has given us. Ideas to lengthen stays. Provide package details to incentivize longer stays. For example, 5 days, 4 nights, meals included, or organize local communities and travel agencies to encourage week long stays and run promotions to visit all 5 villages. Yes. Uh, yes. So, this is also a very good idea. Ideas to encourage visitors to spend more per visit. Focus on experience tourism like local cooking classes using sustainably harvested products, educational tours of the coastal mangroves, and coral restoration projects, and provide even more memorable or exclusive experiences, such as safe interaction with wildlife or rare fauna, diving and surfing. Or you could also simply ask for donations. Okay. This cooking classes idea and educational tours idea was very realistic. This could be done very simply without increasing costs or increasing harm to our climate. So yeah, this is also a really good idea. Ideas to increase the number of visitors. Advertise in places visitors can easily travel from, like nearby South American countries, and run promotions during the off season. Other ideas: often sponsorships for specific areas and provide regular updates for sponsors on development across the years. You can help create different offerings that are relevant year round to avoid large seasonal variations in revenue by something like exporting value added products such as regional crafts or local foods. Okay, so this is the out of box thing. Basically, we could sponsor some development across the year so that each year something new is different, something is different for the people visiting, so that it doesn't become monotonous, and also it stays in the social media. Also, by exporting our regional crafts and local foods, that could also be a very good idea to promote ecotourism. Now, coming to the last and the fourth question. Conservation Forever has decided to launch ecotourism pilots in a small number of communities in Peru to test some of the team's revenue generation hypotheses. The team mapped out how 10 of the largest coastal communities compared in terms of number of expected new visitors and therefore determined the amount of investment required in addition to return on investments. Yeah, sorry, I zoned out a bit. I had an important message. Uh, so we are given some graph, uh, test the team's revenue generation hypothesis. The team has mapped out 10 of the largest coastal communities compared in terms of number of expected new visitors and therefore determined the amount of investment required in addition to return on investments. Okay. So on the right, on the x-axis, we are given a return on the investment, and on the y-axis, we are given the investment needs. Okay. Also, size is the number of the circle size is basically the number of residents within the community. Okay. Okay. So coming to the question, looking at this information, which communities in Peru should CF prioritize for the pilots and why? Okay. So it is a very basic law that we often, what in an ideal world, we would always like to spend less and get more. So I'll just find the uh, suitable area where we need to spend less, that is the investment lead is less, and the return on investment is huge. So clearly for areas C, B, and G, the return on investment is huge. And at the same time, the investment need is also very less. I don't know for J. I think that the number of residents within community will also somehow impact, because if it is a very small community, then there is not much growth of development. But the graph is not true. For J, I think I'll include J in my answer also. So, uh, to finalize it, I think I'll choose options A, J, C, B, and G. Because my answer is totally based on that you want to spend less and gain more. Let's see how McKinsey has tackled this problem. Communities with the greatest expected increase in visitors, the y-axis, are likely to require more urgent investment to support tourism demands and prevent collapse and environmental degradation. Communities with the highest return on investment, the x-axis, are expected to capture more value per dollar investment, making better use of CS resources. One way to prioritize is to look for those with both the expectation of more visitors and then a healthy return on investment. Those are B and G. Yes. While their population is slightly smaller than CF and I, the return CF and I, okay, the returns seem to be anywhere from 2 or 3 times higher. For example, F is a large community where the number of visitors is expected to double in size and the return is expected to be 6%. In contrast, visitor numbers in B are growing at 120% and the return in is greater than 13%. over time, B would be a better investment. Yes. That said, investing in larger communities such as C and F will deliver a positive impact to more people. Okay. So they have also figured out that investing on overall tourism, that is more number of people, would also be a very good option. So C and F, because I think they're the biggest circles with a very good return on investment. So C, F, B, and G are taken into place. Now for the fifth community, in addition, communities currently facing difficulties with managing visitor flow, even if visitors are not expected to increase. Like in community J, also have a more urgent need for financial and management support. Okay. Finally, feasibility could play a role in prioritization. Communities in proximity to other priority communities would allow for bundled interventions, spreading out investment costs, impacting more people, and accelerating overall implementation. So they have included B and G because there is a very good return on investment. For C, they have chosen C and F because they want to increase the number of people visiting. They have the most number of people visiting. So yeah, that would also be a very good uh, community to choose. And for J, it is very necessary because they have written that it is in a urgent need because it is facing difficulties with managing visitor flow. So yes, that is it for this case study as well. This was a case study focused more on the environment, more on ecotourism, I would say. It was totally focused on ecotourism and the finances that we have to consider for ecotourism. So yes, that is it from my side. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.